Why is the exhibition titled The Door is Always Open? The title, The Door is Always Open, came from a phrase that my father would always tell me, that his home was open to me, that his home was always my home. And when I was creating, when I was invited to have this retrospective of my body of work, I wanted to create an environment that were friendly to the visitor. I didn't want an environment that had just white walls, that was very stark and unfriendly. I wanted people to feel comfortable with the idea and the notion about art. I wanted to invite them into my home. I wanted them to be able to sit on my sofas and chairs and become part of the environment itself. The dining room represents the theme of celebration in my work. But this room also honors my parents in the sense that the furniture in this room is actually my parents' real furniture. This is the dining room table where I would have Thanksgiving, American holidays, Jewish holidays like Passover, that we would sit around the table. In here, there's many different paintings and art pieces, some of them actually quite new and special. Brand new photograph, a collaboration by the photographer Holly Anders and myself, that was taken actually in my parents' real dining room set. In the dining room in my parents' real home, the furniture was taken out for the first version of The Door is Always Open at the Skirball Museum in Los Angeles. With the home now empty of furniture, we brought in my Wild Girls and we did a very special art photo shoot. You can see the wallpaper that is back here, and this wallpaper is actually based on the real wallpaper in my parents' home. So we took this wallpaper that I lived with for most of my life, took that as inspiration to create wallpaper in my own artistic way. We're now in the backyard of my home. The backyard represents performance. In the last few years, art performance has become much more important in my body of work, even though a lot of what I've done and started out as someone who drew and painted. But because I create many different kind of art pieces, created a title called Pervasive Art, art that can be perceived everywhere, and then I work with many different mediums within my work. So performance has become much more important in the sense of how to engage an audience and a crowd and how to get them to participate, to think and rethink about themselves. One of my very first performances was called Giggle and Pop that I did at LACMA at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. That is where I took 12 girls and 12 shoo-shoos and I had them dancing and singing in the park, and I had found a way to get them to engage with the audience themselves. By creating memory pieces, it became part of the performance. Art, for me, is about communicating. It's the world and the life that we live. I wanted to let people know that even though art, I believe, is very magical and special, that it's not precious. So many of my themes are about the celebration of the bittersweetness of life. From a point of being a child, of thinking that life needs to be perfect and dealing with a sense of perfection, and then growing up and seeing that real perfection is our own imperfection, and the celebration of who we are and our faults and frailties.